Okay, you fall into P18. You're P18.
RPL F1, RPL F1 Tier 2, F2 Tier 3, and Equal. Well, what about Formula Endurance? Something different for a change, a tier that has been set up for 100% races to find out which driver can handle a marathon. The first season will feature around a dozen marathons each Sunday. However, Title 1 of Marathon begins in Silverstone, a track and place where tons of drivers call home, 52 laps, 2 DRS zones, and many famous corners from this venue. Maggots and Beckett's, Abbey, Chapel, Luffields, Copse and Stowe, Hanger Straight, Hamilton Straight, and much, much more. Welcome, viewers. As always, we are blessed to have you as a part of the spectacle. I'm commentator Ryan Searles, and we are glad to have you all here. And we're about to get underway too. This is perfect timing. Chat, welcome along. Give us your predictions and let us know how you're doing today. So I am by myself for the current moment. I'm going to see if anyone else joins in or not. Let's find out how it all goes. I hope I'm not by myself for future weeks for this Formula Endurance. I will not I will not enjoy it as much being by myself for 100%, but for those of you joining, I really appreciate it. It's going to be a marathon. And you know, I mean, the thing is, although it's a 100% race, it's realistically the same length as a regular F1 race with Tier 1. So we'll find out what happens. So, we have a 12-race calendar on our hands. Next week is in Zandvoort. Owen says he'll give the full calendar once again next week. I didn't download it whenever it first came out. But we've got some interesting tracks in the calendar. I know Monza was on there. Brazil was on there. Zandvoort's on there, which is next week. So, a lot of good good tracks that we have in the calendar this season. We'll find out how the drivers do tackle it. Because this is something new to them. This is something new to all of us. Not just myself. And Silverstone always seems to have a bit of rain, but for qualifying, it looks to be just clear and fine. We'll go over the lineups in just a little bit. We have some new drivers in here. We have some drivers who are not so new. We have a lot of storylines. There's not really an official lineup out there. But take it for example that all the drivers in RPL can race this tier. Take it for example as well that not only is it just full of F1 drivers, it's full of F1 tier 2 as well. Full of drivers who competed in F2. Full of drivers making their first starts, having something to prove. There's a lot with it. And first out on track will be a Red Bull. Actually, it's Zatcy on the Williams. Let's get the track map on. Before we can figure out who is all going to be where and doing what. Wavy serving a qualifying ban. Leighton serving a qualifying ban. They came in late to the lobby. Quickly, I want to look through and I want to see if I could find the pole time from Britain Tier 2 or Britain Tier 1. It would be useful for something like this in a qualifying session. That is short qualifying. I will have a look now. Oh, I could just go right here for it. Zatcy will be the first one across the line to start a lap. Zatcy was supposed to make his return to RPL racing yesterday during F1 Saudi Arabia, but didn't do so. He was serving a long race ban after his incidents in races like Hungary, where him and Bulgogi came together, and it resulted in the RPL stewards having to take some action. And here he comes to start a lap. We'll go on board with this. We'll talk our way through it a little bit while I try to find the Tier 1 Britain race. Now this section right here is very tricky on getting the power down. It can be tricky on track limits depending on how you make it. Scyther is now joined as well. He did not race yesterday. He's an Alpine for this one. 28.2 for Zatcy. And here he comes through Cop's corner and heading to Maggots and Beckett's. How does he take it in this Williams? Almost flat out. Had to let off just a little bit. We should be getting a full grid for tonight. If we're not, we definitely have 19 in here. Maggots and Beckett's now. Usually a small lift. And then right here is where the big lift comes. Not as on the limit as other drivers, clearly. But now Zatcy comes through. And heads to the final couple of corners now to figure out what he can do on his first lap to set the benchmark. And 28.5 Zatcy sets. There's other drivers coming across the line. Some will start laps, some will complete laps. Let's go on board with Alex Bear. And at the sector split, Alex Bear is going to set a 27.5 in his Alfa Romeo. You have Luke and Alex Griffiths who've set times already. We'll go through the lineup once everyone has just about set a lap. And we'll tell you who was where for tonight's race. I mean, you can see it on the screen, but we'll go over it. And who's making first starts or returns. Now Maggots and Beckett's for Alex Bear. Alex Bear has one RPL win to his credit. Joined us in last season's Tier 2 season. And has been a full-time driver since and an active RPL member. Quite through the Discord, it must be said. The guy has got a lot of pace and he's got a lot of potential. Now he gets to show it tonight in a 100% race. Comes across the line. He'll be the 9th different guy to complete a lap. Where is this going to set him though? And it will be 5th fastest. Be Good, Len and Luke, they've all set laps as well. How about Jack Miles on a lap? Who else is going to start a lap? Minico is going to start one soon. We'll go on board with Valk, who's behind Jack Miles. Valk and a Mercedes. Valk has been an Aston Martin recently. Still Mercedes Academy, but not the main car. Tonight she's in a main car. And Leighton has joined us to make it all 20 drivers. And here comes Valk into the final chicane. Jack Miles goes third fastest for Alfa Romeo, and Valk goes sixth fastest. So no one is near completing laps or starting any as of the current moment. There are a lot of people on out laps, but we shall go through our lineup for tonight while we're at it. Be Good for McLaren. Lennon for Ferrari. Be Good made his first start on Friday. Jack Miles at Alfa Romeo. L74G at Mercedes. Owen at Aston Martin. Valk at Mercedes. Alex Bear at Ferrari. Nando made his return earlier in Tier 2 this past weekend. Or this weekend, you could say. Leighton's lagged out. Dragon Dude is making his debut as well. Gecko is in Haas. RPL Zakaria is in Williams. Alex Griffiths is making his first starts. You got Leighton in Red Bull making a return. Hunted in McLaren. Scyther in Alpine. Wavy in Alpine. Zatcy in Aston Martin. Minico in Ferrari. Probably the best shot he's gotten in RPL so far. Switched from the Mercedes Academy to Ferrari. Never had a Canadian on podium in RPL. Trying to do so tonight. 27-1 through the first sector. We'll watch his lap while Grandpa is in the Red Bull. And the fake TB, who we've seen in the Mercedes the past couple of times, is called up to race for Williams to make it a full grid. And Minico is going to come through Cup's corner. Now he comes into Maggots and Beckett's 7th gear, just revving it out. You're not going to want to go to 8th gear here because you know you're just going to shift back down. I think he went to it for a slight moment, but 6th gear now through here. Now, 102.1 at the sector split for Minico. Battery already far below. He's got a Haas behind him who's on an in-lap. That is HSR Gecko. Now, Minico coming to the final chicane and then the final corner. And Minico comes across the line. Minico goes fastest, 25.3. That's by a good margin. And his teammate is in between him and Be Good. So, Minico topping it already. Now we have B1960 Grandpa, who finished runner-up in the Season 10 Tier 2 season. Never was in contention for an RPL championship until then. Using all the curbs to his advantage, trying to find the time all over the racetrack. He's a very fast qualifier. He's going to prove that once again tonight. Provisional pole for now, 25.3. That's by 12 thousandths. Hunted needed some time to get adapt to McLaren in Q1 and Q2 last time we raced in Tier 2, which was on Friday. And he took pole position in Q3. Thought the lap was not the best either. Well, we'll find out what this one will be like as he starts a lap for McLaren. Hunted, the Season 10 Tier 2 champion. Winner once in F2. What's he going to look like on this lap, Hunted, for McLaren? He's another one who's been in 2 different academies full-time throughout this game cycle. He's got 4 wins to his credit this game cycle as well. The fake TB is retired from the session and will not get out on track. Some drivers having to serve qualifying bans. Hunted is up by 5 seconds. And obviously on the first lap, it was a benchmark 1, and he had to back off and abort the lap, so it's nothing too representative. Now Hunted's going to come through into Cop's corner. L74G sets a lap 3rd fastest. He's looking good at his home track. Hunted also at his home track as well. Maggots and Beckett's, here he comes for McLaren. Already below 50% of the battery, abusing those curbs. Riding them, trying to find time. Not too committed through there on the inside line. Missed the apex just a little bit. He's at a 2.5 though. He's improving. He's not going to be slowest of the runners as we currently stand. And now the final chicane for Hunted. Here he comes. Fuel low, battery drained, coming to the line. It should be up there, but it's not going to be ahead of the teammate. He's 6th fastest. The grid is still close, though, within that top 6. Next across the line to start a lap will be Alex Griffiths, a part of the Ferrari Academy, making a debut start. One of Jack Miles' good friends. We could see he's off the pace already on that first lap, but usually those first laps are not too representative, so we'll see what this one ends up like. So to keep you in check, folks, the pole time for RPL F1 earlier this game cycle was a 24.9. We're currently at a 25.3 just off of that. Get your predictions in for tonight. Mr. I'm not even going to try to say that name. I might butcher it. 4/10 up, excuse me, is Alex Griffiths for Haas. He could find a place up higher on the grid. Is it within that top 14 barrier, which has a 1.8 second gap? We'll find out. But here he comes to the Copse corner. An absolute astonishing corner. One of the greats when you look at all-time corners. A very historic one in terms of race starts, moments. You got many moves being made there a lot. Hamilton and Leclerc, Verstappen and Hamilton, which was a crash. 7/10 up in the time, so we could see that Alex Griffiths in his debut RPL race is off the pace, but you know what? He's improving on that first lap, which is what matters. Now, how much did he lose in this final sector on that first lap now becomes my question, because he was 4 seconds off, sliding a little bit on the rears, but now comes across the line. It will be still 16th fastest, but he does find time to improve the lap. He will have one more go at it. Scyther's out on track for Alpine. Valk and Zatcy are the next ones to start a lap, it looks like. Jack Miles is finishing one soon, 99,000 up. Alex Bear is the next across the line. We'll watch him. Something we're going to pay a lot of attention to tonight. Track limits, traction, battles. It can happen anywhere here, and it can happen for Alex Bear to find his way in the top 10 on the grid. 8th place for him, just behind Jack Miles. Impressive. You know, his first starts came in an Alfa Romeo as well, so this is very perfect for him to be in an Alfa Romeo tonight. Next across the line, you got Zatzy, the original owner of RPL, winner at round 2 in the first F1 season. He made his return in Tier 2 not too long ago. Many will know him as Pinarello MB from recent seasons, but he wanted to fix the reputation he was going to have, and now returns to his original name, Zatcy. And you know what? I think he's doing well with this reputation. I think when I've talked to him, he looks out for the league quite well. He's on the pace of Owen, which is quite great considering when he was practicing at Reese for the brand new season for F1 and Tier 2. He was very much off the pace. He has definitely found pace since then. And clearly it was showing that the Williams was not the best car for him to maximize the speed that he has in this league. And he still got it in him. But the thing that he's been remembered for this game cycle so far has been giving up on races, and he's invalidated. He was a 10th up there, though, through the second sector, which is just unfortunate. It would have set him inside the top 10, but not going to be the case for him. The thing I was going to say about Zatcy, and good to see 10 of you watching with that said, the thing I was going to say about Zatcy is he's been known for giving up on races. So the thing is, it's a 100% race tonight. Like I said, it's a marathon. It's an endurance race, as what the tier is called. So I don't want to see him give up on the races tonight, but on races like Singapore and other ones as well, he has given up on. So as much as we've seen that before in the past, I don't want to see it tonight from him, because he's got a lot of potential so far from qualifying, as we've seen. Speaking of potential, Valkyrie has a potential to get up on the grid with that slipstream from the Aston Martin, the Academy teammate of Owen. Valk is currently 12th. She's got 3 F2 wins to her name, 1 podium. It came up Mercedes in Tier 2. And she's going to go ahead as Zatcy with that. So splitting both Aston Martins due to that. Owen starts a lap. Scyther goes 9th fastest for Alpine. Not the best of laps from him, but it was only a benchmark, and it could only be his only lap. So Scyther, who has won 4 titles in RPL, 50 wins across F2 and F1, currently not looking as great as we maybe thought on the grid right now. Owen comes through. Sector split, a 10th up for Aston Martin. He's used to being in cars that aren't the top 4. Look at Haas earlier in the Tier 2 season. Surely he's got something there where he could definitely work it all out. He's got Valk in front of him, who's going to try to give him a slipstream here in the back straight, but honestly, Owen might get some dirty air before then, which is the problem. Owen better hope for Valkyrie to speed it up in the process, therefore he doesn't get caught in dirty air. And here we go. This is actually a perfectly timed slipstream for Owen, who's 3/10 up. Owen, who is the 3-time Tier 2 champ, 11-time F1 podium sitter for Ferrari only, is racing Aston Martin tonight. A step down from what he's been doing in Tier 2, winning the first 2 races of the season for Mercedes. He's got to find time to get to the top 10. He's found that time through the first sector. He's found that time through the second sector. And you can't really call anything a home race for him except for this one, but he is going to be 6th on the grid. That is an almighty lap from Owen, the Irishman. Now everybody is on track for their final laps, and this is about time for these drivers to find time to improve. Starting a lap is HSR Gecko. Gecko has quite the history in RPL. He's been in Tier 2 the last couple of seasons, and he's got 4 F1 wins to his name. He was very great at the start of RPL F1 when that was first introduced, but has not had the same pace since, and has not got a chance at a full-time season in quite a while. But now he's got a chance to prove himself in Tier 2, and now even in Formula Endurance. You know, realistically, you used F2 to get a seat on the grid in RPL. I think this is the tier where if you're not in the right car, and anyone can really do this kind of event, if you're not in the right car for your tier respectively, or you want to get more chances to reserve for a different team in Tier 1 and you're from Tier 2, this is the tier to prove it. Gecko's invalidated, so that is it from Gecko. Checker flag is waving. Gecko's still spinning, though. That's in front of a ton of cars, so he's going to get out of the way. The first to come through the sector split is going to be Be Good, who, again, like I mentioned, made the Tier 2 debut on Friday and is up by 2/10. This could put him onto pole position. And in that race, it was a podium for Alpine. And he's in the Alpine Academy tonight, this time for McLaren, the better car. Be Good crosses the line to make it front row, just barely off pole. Next across the line is Scyther, who's 8th, going for a second one. Then you had Zakaria across the line. Next is the Red Bull Grandpa, who improves on pole position to a 25-1. Minico spinning. Lennon Luke's across the line. 5th place for him. Hunted's still going, but Hunted's down. Luke is down. Minico around. Nando crosses, improves. Zatcy's improving, but it's the only one who can say something about a grandpa pole position, and that would be an almighty shock from him in a Red Bull tonight. Zatcy across the line for Aston Martin, makes it into the top 10. Grandpa, who came up just short of the Tier 2 title, is going to see pole position tonight at a racetrack he could have won in that Tier 2 season that maybe could have made the difference. He had penalties that made the difference, but on his one-lap pace, he has really shined so far, and he's on pole position. Good evening, Invade. Good to see you for the action, and now it's time for the event. Welcome back to pole position, Grandpa. Round 8, Singapore. His last pole was with McLaren. The last pole before that for him was with Ferrari. And now it's with Red Bull. 3 different academies he's taken pole with this game cycle. So let's run through your qualifying order. That's okay, Invade. Good to see you pop in. You may as well at least listen. I mean, you don't have to watch. You could at least listen. Either way, both work. We have 10 viewers, which is nice. Let's go through the running order. We've got 4 different teams in the top 4 in those first 2 rows. It's made up of Grandpa and Be Good, a Dutch front row. Minico and Luke make up the second row. Lennon rounds out the top 5 to make it 3 of the top 5 from Netherlands, which we race at next week. Hunted, Owen, Scyther, Jack, and Zatcy, another Dutchman, round out the top 10. Outside the top 10, we've got names like Alex Bear, Valk, even Leighton, maybe even Wavy in an Alpina top car, and a champion with the fake TB, who really could try to get his way through the field for Williams. And some drivers outside that top 10 are making their first starts or returns tonight. I'm interested in how it goes too. I must say, it's very nice to see the amount of viewership tonight. I mean, F2, the last time I streamed a tier outside of F1 or F1 Tier 2, really did not have the viewership, so I'm at least motivated to continue commentating tonight and have the enthusiasm as I usually would with the amount of viewership. You know, people will say, oh yeah, it's not a lot compared to the league I commentate. Okay, we're changing that slowly but surely for RPL. We have 359 followers on the Twitch. In the last month, we've gained 20 subscribers on the YouTube. No, last 2 months, at least 20 subscribers on the YouTube. So we're currently doing the right thing, but it's a slow but sure kind of way of getting up the top in terms of RPL. And it's getting there, I think. I am interested to see how it goes, though. F2, you can see the viewership, but this one is. 5 red lights are coming on now, and we're about to get underway for Formula Endurance. The marathon is on. Wavy and Alex Griffiths both jumped the start, but Grandpa didn't get the best of launches because he's got Be Good to his inside, and they're pitching one another at turn 1. Be Good, side by side, is going to take the lead of the race, but can he break later? Yes, he can. He's out in front by turn 2, and turn 3, there was almost contact in the background. Fake TB had to use a better runoff. Side by side, Owen, Jack, Scyther, some champions in that mix. But now, down to sector 2, crashing in the back. That's the Aston Martin of Zatcy around. But side by side for the lead. Grandpa takes it. The 2 Dutchmen are still 1-2, but Grandpa decided he was the better Dutchman on lap 1 so far. Minico side by side with Luke as well. Former teammates. Lennon wants in on the action. Hunted's there to pounce. So is Owen. 2 by 2 entering Cop's corner. Hunted's having used the runoff as well. We got Owen and Scyther a part of the action. Alex Griffiths is part of the yellow flags with Valk. Contact made with Owen and Scyther, but I think they keep it clean, but on the limit. Zakaria as well is hunting up Hunted. And now, Scyther side by side with Owen. Around the outside, can Scyther keep this? Scyther's won here before. Owen and an Aston Martin this time. 2 midfield cars, maybe call him Alonso and Vettel. There's a collision. Scyther and Lennon at the final chicane come together, and I think Scyther was just a little too late on the brakes. A rare driver mistake from Scyther right there. Not a good one. Jack and Owen, 2 good mates going side by side right there into the first corner. Abbey corner usually sees a lot of battling. How about turn 3? The braking zone. Contact. Friends off the racetrack, I'll say. Maybe not on the racetrack. And you can see Grandpa having to use some of that battery to defend. Minico in the train, Luke in the train, Alex Bear with Zakaria now. Zakaria has made his way into the top 10. Nice little start for him. Let's see who's gained from it. Pitting was Valk and Hunted. They had trouble. So they're going to be a part of that. Right there. In the back of the grid. So 2 for Owen, 3 for Jack, 4 for Alex, 6 for Zakaria, 3 for Gecko, 4 for Nando, and 8 for TB. What an amazing start from TB. The losers, Lennon, Scyther, Zatcy, and obviously the 2 who are the final 2, Hunted and Valk, who got involved in collisions. Not the best for them. We got Gecko and Zakaria drooling it out here for 8th place. Then TB and Nando. Nando going off the road. TB might be losing a place to Lennon. Actually, Lennon's pitting, so That's why you saw the position swap. We got yellow flags. That is Zatcy out. Zatcy's binned it. And that's on the right side. That's a virtual safety car. So Lennon has actually put it at the right time here. Alex Griffith speeds. Our first retirement comes at the hands of our Zatcy, the RPL founder. It doesn't look like it's going to get upgraded, which is the good thing. I want it to stay as a VSC as well. I want to see the racing action continue because we've got the front four involved in a train, and that's B. Grandpa being hit with the drive-through. That's going to be costly. Oh, my word. Wow. Well, he's got Be Good right behind. And now ready to pounce because of that drive-through. So Grandpa making a costly mistake. That is not good for Grandpa. See, it's so weird because Grandpa can be one of the fastest drivers in this league, has some of the best potential, but ends up doing stuff like that. Yellow flags for Alex Griffiths, but the race lead is now Be Good. He takes it away. Alex Bear has had something happen to him. He's been overtaken by 2 cars in the street as Gecko and Zakaria go wheel to wheel. Minico and Grandpa were duking it out before he went to the pit lane to serve the drive-through, but Zakaria dives down the inside, goes a little deep, pinches. Now Alex Bear jumps onto the curb to try a switch back and make a move on both of them. He gets Gecko. Now he's got Zakaria, uses the battery, and he's going to get him before turn 1, but can he stay ahead? Oh! He went a little wide, but he is ahead. Yes, there was a little lag there. I am aware. Gecko, Zakaria, Scyther, 4-car battle. And it's Alex Bear who leads it. And the race lead is under threat. It's Be Good who's leading the charge, but Minico's right there. And now Scyther gets Gecko. Scyther on the inside of Zakaria. Side by side. Oh, avoiding contact. We're lucky for that one. But Scyther going to dive it back up the inside on Zakaria. Trying the old switcheroo. Going to use some battery. Oh, I would love a co-commentator. We got Zatcy here. Oh, boy. Get him in. That would be amazing. I really like to have a co-commentator at this kind of marathon. Endurance, whatever you want to call it. And here is Minico and Be Good. Minico. Up to the race lead. Takes it. Now, what is this 3-car battle going to show us? It's going to show us Scyther getting out in front, but Zakaria's last of the late breakers. Scyther now trying to switch it back to the chicane. Going to choose the outside line. Alex Bear winning in the wings, but Zakaria stays in front of this battle. 4 cars. Really part of the action. Yeah, cool. Let's see if it allows him to include his audio, because it wouldn't allow Florian to include the audio when I had him on Xbox app. I mean, this battling for P6 is actually amazing. I'm actually impressed. You have some interesting names here. A Tier 1 winner with Gecko, Alex Bear, a first-time Tier 2 winner recently, Scyther, a 4-time champion overall, and Zakaria, who recently got back onto the podium in F2 not too long ago. Welcome, Zatcy. Let's see if it lets you include the audio. Oh, I need to fix something. I need to make sure it's through the speakers. I don't have my audio through speakers. I meant to fix that prior. My bad. There we go. I can hear you. Alright, Zatcy, talk. Zatcy? I can't hear Zatcy. Jack, we're just battling. Oh, there you are. I don't think it's included through the stream, by the way. You're gonna have to include it. Your audio. Owen gets by Jack. I couldn't really hear you there. But, yeah, I don't know if it's including or not. Might be due to the Xbox app or not. It says it's included. Huh. Can't really hear you. You're gonna have to speak up. But the battling still continues. We're gonna make sure we keep our eye on it, regardless. Yellow flags for Haas. Go ahead. What were you saying? Check. It's by Owen, by the way. And yellow flags still for the Haas. It's Alex Griffiths with no front wing. Just refresh the stream. I want to make sure there's not as much of a delay as I just had right there. Need to fix that. And Alex Griffiths speeds in the pit lane. Now for the lead. Here's Be Good on Minico, trying to take over the race lead. Can he do it? He's got to run, but he can't make anything with it. Got Owen and Jack still close, and this battle is again with these 4 cars continue, but it's Gecko at the back of the train getting through on Alex Baird. And Alex Baird looks back to make sure if he could stride around the outside there, but couldn't do it. Now here we go. Be Good around the outside. Takes over the race lead now. And does Minico try to switch this back? No. Owen also gets Jack. Alright. Alright, well that's good to know. I was trying to figure that out with you. I could hear you better now, but yeah. Do you have a headset you could figure it out with? Do you have a headset you could figure it out with? Okay. Alright, no worries. Well. Although it won't let you include your audio. At least you could keep me here if I miss something. But the battling continuing once again. Scyther, Zakaria, Gecko. It's a 3-car train because Alex Bears lost DRS. We've kind of missed a little bit of the Owen and Jack battling, but these two either trying to DRS off each other to catch the top 3 or simply realizing 4th is going to be their battle for tonight. And Be Good and Minico have been back at it for the race lead. We didn't mention a whole lot of strategy, but you see, most of the guys in the mediums are going to go medium to hard here for a 1-stop. Now, Minico charging and inside line. Gonna go through here at Stowe. Race lead is now Minico, and he has control of this race. Unless Be Good throws it up the outside, can't do it. He is gonna wait a little more to get this race lead back. At the back of the grid, Valk and Leighton. Leighton is not in this race, I guess. He's in AI. Or left the session prior to it, which I believe that's what he did. He was not too happy not getting a setup in. Which may be why we saw the fake TV back there, and maybe even Scyther. So, go ahead. So you said you lost the car, and what happened? Alright, so for those of you who could not hear in the stream what he said, because he has issues, including his audio. Zatcy did. He had said how he was in a battle with Gecko. Oh, there was contact there. And Dragon Dude's got a penalty, by the way. And what happened with it is, with Alex Bear, there was issues with Gecko and Alex Bear and him. And he continued on. And it ended up resulting in him spinning out of the races, which is what caused the first DNF. Be Good, while we spoke about that, has just taken over the race lead, and now he's the one in control of things. The one behind all this, Luke, in his home race, the highest British driver on this grid right now, is currently the one who's not made any moves. And these two continue to make moves to the race lead. And Luke's probably just in the background here, waiting to pounce and waiting for the right moment as Hunted picks up a penalty. So, rear wing being open now for Minico. This could be the third time in the last 3 laps we see a move made for the race lead, and he's going to regain it. Throws it up the inside, move complete. Be Good has no chance to challenge back at it. He's going to sit behind and probably do the same thing that Minico did, except he'll probably do it on the hanger straight. And yeah, like I said, we didn't speak a lot about strategy. I doubt anyone will do a 2-stop tonight. You can do a 1-stop throughout this 100% race. It's likely going to be the medium hard, though. TB and Alex Bear are not going to go soft medium. I doubt that. But I will say, if they are planning on a 1-stop, it is definitely the soft hards for them. So, Be Good. DRS now. No battery. Minico's using his. So you could see the battery management is better on Be Good's hands. But for Minico, he's the one in control of this race, at least in terms of the positions. With the battery, it looks like it's in Be Good's hands. And even Luke is just right in the middle of these two on that battery. A little over 60% for him. We'll see how that fares later on. Yellow flags, that is for the Haas, that is for Alex Griffiths. And Alex Bear, another Alex, has had trouble. He's speeding in the pit lane. So if he's on a 2-stop, he's pitting now because of that. We'll see what tires he goes on to. It's a 20-second or 28-second pit stop loss in the pit lane, which is just insane, the amount you lose there. And it's a 23 gain back on that battery when you do coming out of the pit. When you do come out of the pits, so we'll see what happens. Either way, here we go in the cop's corner this time. It's a 3/10 gap, so he's going to have to find time if he's going to want to re-overtake Minico for the race lead then. And Alex Griffiths picks up a penalty. He's had struggles at the back of this grid. Luckily, he's still in this race, which is nice to see. He gets a lot of learning, even if it's just by himself and with this grid. No moves made there, but you saw Be Good at least close the gap. And Jack Miles still in this race with Owen. They're keeping a consistent gap to the race leaders. If they continue to battle it out, they could gain, depending on what happens. Not enough to get close for a move. Nowhere near. But it could be very different once the pit stops happen. And especially when they happen. We saw a circumstance in Abu Dhabi at the end of the last race of the F1 season where the Chiller and Jack kind of got messed up by a virtual safety car being out of their favor. Cost them a good 3 to 4 seconds. Owen was on commentary for that one, and Jack Miles ended up winning. So they know about a virtual safety car playing into their hands or not. And that could be the case to maybe catch them up to this pack, as they're 6.5 seconds back. And we have a train forming for 9th place with Nando, TB, and Grandpa, as Grandpa served that drive. They're looking to charge back to the field. Off the leader, in terms of the gap, he's 21 seconds back, so he's going to have to find a lot. It's TB, side by side now with Nando, gets the place here, so he's leading the DRS train now, instead of being the one behind it. So now, how much longer can Minico keep Be Good at bay? Be Good is using a bit of that battery on the straight. Not a whole lot to shape up a move, unless it's going to be late here, but Minico holds on to the race lead. They're going to come up to lap Alex Griffiths for the first time in this race. And there was a move made not too long ago. Maybe it was Gecko. I'm not sure. I don't know who made the move. Maybe it was Nando and TB. I was caught up there, or caught off guard there. And Grandpa, 2-1. Here he goes, inside on the Academy teammate, and ahead of TB as well. So now, Grandpa has the advantage into the chicane. TB follows, and Nando is there as well. But, again, they're back to single file in that area as the Haas of Alex Griffiths gets out of the way, being lapped. He's been lapped 13 laps in. Usually in a normal race, Zatcy, this would be halfway for us, but it's not halfway. It's really only a fourth of the way in now with this lap 13 coming to an end soon. Yeah, right? Again, apologies for those of you who can't hear him. It's unfortunate. I wish they could hear you, man. Now, the race lead. Again, Minico using just a bit of that battery. It's going to cost him here because if Be Good uses a bit more to that battery, he's back at full percent. But Minico, say he doesn't use any battery, it stays where it's at. He pits next lap. He only recovers 23%, like we mentioned, and that's yellow flags for the Haas. That is Alex Griffiths, who's a lap down. He gains 23% of that battery, so he gets about a little over 75%, really, if you were to not use any. But he's still at a worse rate compared to Be Good, and that's not what you want to have when you're technically the one in control of the race, because you're not really in control of the race when you have that much difference on battery. Look at 90% to 50. That's some big gap, and I would say from the time Minico's been here and RPL, he's been pretty good at saving his battery, but I guess it does become different when you are in a better car and at the top of the race, leading everybody. So yeah, that must be noted for sure. By the way, Jack Miles, when Alex Griffiths spun, made a mistake because he's now 2 seconds behind Owen and not near that train, and he's ahead of Scyther by 3.6 seconds, but he's trailing Owen more than he was before, and that's not a good sign as Wavy heads to the pit lane for the first time this race on those hard tires. Let's see what he does. Is this a wing change? I saw a front wing on the side there, but it's not being used, so nothing for him. Be Good deploying a bit of that battery. Not close enough for a move unless he makes it late, but he just stays right behind once again. Two tenths, 3 tenths. I mean, that gap can change, but you could see Be Good is the one who's got the patience right now as Alex Griffiths picks up another penalty. He is on 11 seconds of penalties. We have Alex Barrows a 5 second for speeding, 3 seconds for Dragon Dude, and Hunted due to track limits, but Alex Griffiths is racking up those penalties. Now he's using a bit of that battery, but somehow he's been able to recover that to where it's almost full battery. So when he uses it a lot on the lap, that's when we'll know he's coming into the pit lane. And it's definitely not just yet. I'm just going to assume by the way it is, I mean, those mediums are probably duplicate amount of laps you could go on them compared to a regular regular 50% race. So if we're seeing anybody in on those mediums, it's likely going to be anywhere from lap 19 onwards, and maybe 18 at an earliest. So it's not going to be just yet. We're going to see it in a little bit, but we're going to have to wait a little longer. AlphaTauri of Nando picks up a penalty. Now here comes Be Good using the battery, using a lot more. Going to the left side, around the outside, he's going to take the race lead back. He regains that spot he once had once again. And with that battery being used, he's not going to pit this time. We didn't expect it to be too early, but the one who's going to be pitting next to these lot will be the fake TB, who is running last of the points runners. Just nice to see, it must be said. the battling really hasn't changed this race too much because the gap with Owen and the race leaders are 7.5 seconds. So he's just minding his time. He was in that battle with Jack earlier and maybe trying to DRS off one another to catch the rest of the field, but not going to be the case now. Yellow flags, that got all sorted out, but Zakaria and DRS of Gecko, TB and DRS, DRS battle with Nando, and that's really the only battles we have besides the race lead, and that yellow flag is for Alex Griffiths once again. I wouldn't want him to retire. I think he should learn something here, and I think he's trying to, it looks like, but well, let's see what he could do. Let's see. New driver here. Why not, you know, figure it all out. But hopefully, at least if he keeps spinning, he keeps it out of the wall, though. I agree, yeah. Don't crash on purpose. Yeah, I know, right? Like, totally not anyone in here has done that before. I totally don't have a long history with that myself, so. What? Well, it is sarcastic because, you know, I mean, I'm someone who used to do so myself. Yeah, Invade Zatcy is alongside me, but he's unable to include his audio, so he's just here to cut in whenever it's needed or if I miss something. Speaking of something I may have missed, Nando got by TB, and Lennon and Dragon also swapped spots in the straight too. So very neat right there. I from go ahead. I guess you're fixing your mic. I was gonna say, the one thing I was hearing about prior to tonight that Luke mentioned as an idea as Alex Griffiths is the cause of yellow flags once again. I heard Luke mention that maybe you could either it was Luke or Owen, I don't remember who it was, but because it is Jack's tier, you could put it as one-shot qualifying. Therefore, if you are in a top car and you make a mistake, you start at the back of the grid. And if you do end up have that happening, you will charge your way through the field rather than have it be the way it is. I mean, we do still have a lot of good cars at the back of the field. You got Grandpa, you got Luke, Lennon, you got Hunted, you even got Valk at the very back of the grid. So, yeah, maybe that's a thought. And I don't know if I should have revealed that or not, but maybe that's a thought for next week in Zandvoort if we don't get the best rest of the race we could have. But either way, it's something to think about, as getting lapped there due to pitting was Alex Bear. So his struggles end up continuing as he pitted for a second time, and Wavy picks up a 3-second time penalty. Here's Minico trailing Be Good, but also trailing him in the battery up until I look at it, because Be Good has used a lot of that battery as of the current moment. Look at that. He tried to maybe pull away and get out of DRS and run with it. He couldn't do so, and now he's below Minico in that battery by a ton. Minico, is he going to look here at Cop's Corner? No. Not going to sneak a peek. He's going to tuck in behind once again and think about it for later in the lap. And now DRS will be enabled here into Sector 3, where Be Good still leads the race but does not have the battery advantage. Minico now has the battery advantage, and here he goes inside line. He reclaims the race lead once again. Minico back into P1. Now, Luke, who's also trailing, has Alex Bear right there for company, which is a bit of an issue because this could be affecting the way that Luke races here with a ghost car in the area. Gecko, Zakaria, Grandpa, DRS train all the way from 7th to 9th. Now with Alex Bear being on those narrow tires, he's going to try to pull a 1 second gap to be able to unlap himself and stay ahead without blue flags being a factor. He's got to pull that gap very quickly, though, as the fake TB becomes the 6th different driver in the penalty box during this race. Something I want to talk about before we mention other races next weekend is the fact that Tier 2 was the first tier this game cycle to have a race that ended up having no retirements and was scot-free on that aspect. We had a VSC, but it was very nice to see that for the first time this game cycle. Has that happened ever? I don't know the answer to that, but it's definitely not happened in Tier 1 as far as I'm aware, as Haunted gets Dragon Dude for 13th place. Yeah, at the back of this train, he's got to find a way to get back into the field. Grandpa does. Here he goes. Gets Zakaria. Now chases after Gecko. He's clear of Zakaria, so he can pull the inside line with ease. And with Grandpa's drive-through, this is the charge back to the field that you'd see something like Checo Perez do. And maybe Grandpa's feeling like Checo Perez tonight, except having that great qualifying pace. You know, he ends up having the speed in qualifying, doing everything he can by being on pole position. Makes a mistake in the race. You know, we saw at the end of the Tier 2 season, he had DNFs to his name, which was not a pretty sight at all, considering he was in a championship fight. 3 consecutive DNFs. Ended his chances, choked it away, and realistically, I say Checo Perez because he's having to make a comeback drive once again. And in fact, his win in Austria was a comeback drive that he had in Tier 2 for McLaren, as he makes the move and gets up into 7th place. Fake TB pits on those softs. Yeah, that must have been early on if he had a 5-second, because he's now serving it. Got 3 seconds on his penalties, though. Yellow flag set is for the Haas again of Alex Griffiths. Yeah, I mean, the thing you can ask if you're Grandpa, to your point, is you really can only ask for the fact that you can find something in the second half to get you up to the field. I mean, he's right behind Scyther now. He's got a lot of pace in him. And if you look at, because a lot of people like to make lists and tier lists or rankings, and if you want to rank anyone as the, I guess you could say, you know, choke-worthy award or something like that, you know, there are drivers out there like Grandpa who are on the top 3 of that list or up there with him, but recently it's been him. And I hate to say that because, you know what, like I mentioned, he's got a lot of potential and he shows it, but he just ends up throwing it all in the trash. And this was a good example of it early on when he got that drive-through. But now, all you can just ask for is have the pace and make the smart moves and know what you're doing when you catch throughout the field. You know, Owen's 12 seconds behind the race leaders, so really the only realistic thing for Grandpa is to at least finish a minimum of P4 here. But if somehow in some way he gets a safety car, he is likely back in this race for the race win. But until then, he's finishing P4. Is it worthy of driver of the day though? I don't know, but it's his own mistake that he got back there in the first place, as your race leaders are nearing their pit cycle. Be good is in. Yeah, you do make a good point. For those of you who did not hear that, Zatcy is giving a shout out to Gecko, and I would agree with that. Recently, he's had the pace, and he's had it a lot more than recently. Grandpa went for a slide there after passing Scyther. Yeah, he's had it a lot more than recently, and I'm impressed because that Tier 1 race in Bahrain, he ended up getting up there and ended up doing what he needed to. Points for Williams. And that's even crazy to think about in itself, for Williams in the points. And Tier 2, he's raced for Alpine and McLaren. He's been okay. He's not been anything special in some of those races except for Brazil at the end of the season, which saw him start up there on the grid and have a chance for pole. So, realistically, I think we're seeing his flashback to glory, which he once had here in RPL. And You know, I think, you know, realistically, the start of this game cycle, you could look at him as a mediocre driver. And now, he's being a standout driver. And Zakaria is doing a great job holding his own in P8. You know, others have had trouble, sure, fine. But he's held a quiet race. And this being his return, he didn't have the qualifying pace. He didn't do much that was impressive in qualifying, to my note. And he was slow in it. And yeah, you just mentioned there, which I was going to get to. Alex Bear sped on the pit lane, retires from this race, second retirement. And your race leaders are also in. We'll see how this fares. Be good. Yeah, no, he is getting last. He'll be probably put to the bottom of the order once they figure everything out. Because he was part of AI. Oh, there we go. There's the retirement. Alex Bear has crashed. Or not Alex Bear. Sorry, Alex Griffiths. And that's a safety car. That's going to change this race completely. And this happens right after Minico and Luke come out behind Be Good from the pit stops. And you surely have to wonder, Zatzy, with what we were talking about, Grandpa could be back in this race for Red Bull now that that has happened. And look who leads this race. Owen. He could very well come out ahead of Be Good at the end of this pit cycle. Let's see the gap. 15 seconds. He might not be ahead, but he'll definitely be much more closer in terms of that gap. Neutralizes things with the safety car. Shout out to who? Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, for those of you who didn't hear, Molly ended up having a... Oh, and sped in the pit lane from the race lead. Whoa. Well, that's costly. And Jack Miles does the same. They had a chance to really be a big factor in this race, being up front after those pit stops. Be Good comes in too for a fresh thing. But yeah, you were mentioning Molly. You gave a shout out to him. I would agree with that. He started at the back of the grid in Tier 2. No fault of his own, because team principal loan with that whole deal. He got loaned to Alpine Academy for the race. He's in part of Ferrari Academy now. And yeah, he ended up having to start at the back, went through the field, and I didn't give him driver of the day. I was thinking it was going to be maybe his, but he ended up, what, you said P6? So it was nice for him to do that. I mean, I don't think it was the most impressive drive, but he deserves the credit, though, because, I mean, I think when he came back to this game cycle and racing in RPL, I don't think he was the fastest either. I think it was maybe in a way similar to Gecko, but he wasn't, he had his tracks. He's very track dependent now compared to before. And I wish he raced Jetta last night for Ferrari, because I would have liked to see what he could have done. So back to the race with what's happening here now. Everyone who pitted went onto hards except for Be Good and Scyther. Be Good's on mediums, and Vade, you brought up a good point with the tires. I do wonder the same thing. I don't fully know the data, but I know a little bit of it. I'm gonna say it's duplicated, or just about. So we'll get to that in just a moment with the tire length. So Scyther's on softs, Be Good's on mediums. So Be Good has probably 30 laps on those mediums he could do. So he's probably gonna make it to the end. Whereas Scyther has a good 20 laps, maybe 24 in them. Can he make it to the end with a safety car like this? Does kind of help. Is it a risk? Yeah. So we'll figure out whether or not that's the case. He's going to make the most of those soft tires now, and it's the only thing he can really go for with a default setup, I'm thinking. Hunter just got a 3-second on the safety car. All right, then. Yeah, you do make a good point with Hunter, Owen and Jack with penalties, too. So, yeah, that puts Grandpa net P2, or net P3, and Scyther net P4. Well, I think the Red Bull is just insane anywhere. I think Cookie's starting to show that himself. I mean, Cookie's been fast. He's really fast, but he's showing what more some of the drivers can achieve in that Red Bull. Yeah, I mean, I think with Grandpa, I really think with where he's at right now, the amount of pace he was showing, as long as he's smart about the moves he makes, he can win this race. I don't know. I really think he's got it in him to do it. But again, he just cannot choke the race away at this point because we're about to be halfway, and realistically, I don't think you can really recover after halfway. You have to have something catastrophic happen in the race for the driver to be able to recover after halfway. And realistically speaking, you know, he isn't a fast car in the Red Bull. He's the only one in it in this race because I don't count Leighton being not a part of the session anymore. But he's a part of the Red Bull at a time where everyone else is in cars that are nowhere near it. And for Grandpa, he's shown a lot of pace, and he's got a lot of pace in him, which he showed even in a McLaren, and he's in one step further, you could argue. So now this is his opportunity to shine. This is his opportunity to say, well, McLaren Academy, I wasn't getting the most I could in that car. Or, sorry, Alpine Academy, McLaren team. He could out of that car, and maybe it will show right here with him on this restart. He'll be 5th place, net P3, and I think the safety car is in next time. I mean, Korsman's been impressive, no doubt. I agree. I think the thing with Korsman as well, you know, compared to that McLaren, and maybe you could say the difference, does partially from one being an esports driver for sure, and the other one being an RPL driver who's not as well known outside of the league. I think for, you know, Grandpa, with him, oh, what in the world? There's an ambulance outside of, not my house, side, and well, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I should worry more about this race, but that's definitely a worry. You can't hear the ambulance because it's not on, but like the noise isn't on, but it's toward a house in my neighborhood that I could see outside my window. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I'm going to quickly go AFK to let my parents know, because they know that person. I don't know if they're seeing it, but I'll be back in time for the safety car restart, and we'll be past halfway at this point. Hards will make it to the end for those of you who are wondering, like Invade. Mediums probably could, a little bit of a risk. Softs with sight, there are more of the risk though. I'll be back as soon as this thing gets back underway. Zatcy, your invites are coming through for a party invite. Just now. Yeah, it says you invited me to a party 6 times now. Oh, now 7 times. What? Are those delays? Okay, good. I was gonna say, it's a bit weird. Alright, back on the gas is Minico. He accelerates into the chicane, leading this race, and now he can have opportunity number 2 to redeem himself on the battery. Here we go. Green flag racing, and we're past halfway too. You know, if you're a NASCAR fan, I know there's one driver in this race who's a big NASCAR fan. I can tell by his profile picture, and that's Dragon Dude. You could really call it a stage break right there with what happened in that safety car. Contact for 4th place. Jack Miles, Grandpa, and Scyther. Also, there was a move with Zatcy and Be Good on the restart. Lennon also at Nando. And the racing action really is going to continue here because now Scyther wants in on the action. Here we go. Grandpa electing to go to the left side. Now the right side on Jack Miles. He's going to pull her on the outside. Jack Miles is going to squeeze him, and he's going to pinch him to where he has no more space, and the door gets shut. But Grandpa pulls it back up the inside. A little punt there from Grandpa. And Scyther now goes through. So Jack Miles getting absolutely twisted here and getting hit and losing places. Be Good also in the back of Gecko is in on the action. So now, is he going to try it here? No, he's not. Jack Miles still in the back of Scyther. At the back of the grid, you saw TB getting by Wavy on the restart. Now, we go back to the action with 7th place. Be Good. Also in front of that, Grandpa and Scyther. Grandpa has the outside line. Scyther is the inside line. How about L74G picking up a penalty? That's 3 guys inside that top 6. But Scyther cannot make the move. It's Grandpa who keeps the place. All that happened, it was Be Good catching up to Jack Miles in the train on fresher tires and on the mediums. Here's Scyther charging, throws it up the inside and makes the move. What a move! I told you on F2 when we were commentating there, season 17, and when I came in for the first time, I love watching this guy race. He sends moves like those, and that is exactly why. Nice move there from Scyther. He absolutely used it to perfection. Also Zatcy in a battle with Hunted and Lennon. And how about Valkyrie trying to catch up with her little train at the back of this grid to this 3-car battle, which Lennon now takes control over. You got action all over. It's Silverstone. Silverstone seems to provide the action anywhere you go. You got Be Good now with Jack Miles doing a little bit of threatening. Uses the battery, gets through. Jack Miles, a small mistake at Cops, costed him, but Be Good also on the fresher tires is going to get through with ease. And don't look now, although he's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Owen is right there in that 3-car train now for the race lead. Just a reminder as some of the action starts to calm down a little bit. 12 race season for Formula E, Formula Endurance. Make sure you tune in throughout this game cycle and the end to it. In the end of 2023, we have 3 final races to cap off 2023 in RPL. Next week, we're at Canada for Tier 2. We're at Australia for F1. And we're in the Netherlands next week for this tier, which should be tons of fun to watch. A 12-race season. 1 less than Tier 2 due to starting a week later. And F1 has a 26-race season, which you still don't want to miss out on. Scyther now in DRS, once it will be enabled. Now, this train of cars with Grandpa, Be Good, Jack, and Gecko may be vulnerable to getting Lennon and Hunted involved on those fresh or medium tires soon here. As Dragon Dude gets by Layton. Dragon Dude in his first start as well. I said NASCAR fan he was. He's got a Ryan Blaney profile picture who won the NASCAR championship. So surely he was a happy guy to end that season. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the drivers making their debut later on and how they're doing. Either way, with that being said, for next week's races, should be fun to see right there. In terms of what all happens. Now, what happens here for 5th place? Be Good's going to make the move on the outside, and that's going to be an easy move made right here. He gets 5th place over Grandpa. So Grandpa, on those hard tires, maybe not up to full cylinders from what I guess we're expecting in terms of this race. Be Good did slide right there. That's going to cost him some time. Grandpa's on the back of him now. He's going to sit behind him. Nando and Wavy also making some moves here, trading spots at the final corner. Wavy gets out in front for now. Nando around the outside. Can he keep it, though? Turn 1, they're going to be side by side here at Abbey. And Nando had to back out a little bit, but Wavy space and has to concede the place. So Nando on a return doing quite well. Wavy holding on decently well at the back of this grid to a train. It may not be the train he wanted, but considering he had to retire, and I think he's also on a default setup, that may be why he's that far back, as TB gets Valk Wavy battling Nando once again. Wherever there is, there's action, and you just can't stop to see it. You're going to have to see it in front of your screen at some point, and in front of his screen, Wavy's the one who's going to get Nando for P14. Yeah, Scyther is really using those soft tires to his ability and maximizing it must be said. Scyther is gonna have to get this place in order to get up to the field. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's on a default setup, but if he's not, it's still impressive him able to charge through the field the way he has, considering where he started. I'm pretty sure he started at the back of the grid. Nope, he started 8th. Never mind. Didn't really have the best of qualifying, but I guess you could say he used that as his practice, which was what he usually does. And now, yeah, you said he's in the back of Owen. Owen had that 5-second penalty, and he still has it. He'll have to serve it, or it will go unserved, and he'll have it apply to his race time at the end. So Scyther's going to have to get by in order to get to the front two. And 2 of those guys in front of him have penalties. So Scyther on those soft tires, really, and hot pursuit. 10 of you watching the stream, let us know who you're rooting for. I'm rooting for this battle with Be Good and Grandpa to continue. I'll tell you that right now, because Be Good still leads the way right there and keeps Grandpa at bay, but Nando can't keep Wavy at bay because Wavy has to look up the outside line, and will he keep it here? Does Nando shut the door? No, he can't. He has to give him the space. Wavy gets out in front here for the place, but Nando tries the cut back inside line. They're going to continue to go wheel to wheel here for 15th place. Wavy out in front for the time being, and now Scyther closes in on Owen as he's about to lose DRS. And Scyther moves past him. Nicely done there. Grandpa with Be Good. TB with Zakaria. Moves being made all over the place in this race. I will quickly be right back for 30 seconds. We'll go to the race lead because this battle surely is not over just yet with 20 laps remaining. Grandpa's making a move on Be Good. Gets the place. He had struggled from the start of this second stint and second half when the safety car restart got underway, but he got it out now. Nando and Wavy, this is a nice little battle for 14th place. It really is. I must say, with these guys, you know, they're not battling for the race lead. They're not battling for points, but they're having a little bit of fun here. And people said, oh yeah, you might not want to drive a 100% race around, I don't know, wherever if you're in a back marker field car. Well, as long as you're having fun like these two are and keeping it clean and right on the limit, then I think you don't mind it too badly. You know, Wavy in his RPL return, F2 got a podium at F2, or at Zandvoort. And Gecko gets past Jack. Zakaria with TB trading spots once again. And we're going to see Wavy and Nando just continue to do the same thing. They're DRSing off each other, either to catch the front of the field or just having a bit of fun. And I'm going to go with the part where they're probably having a bit of fun. And now, side by side at the final chicane, who's going to lead the lap with these two? Contact made, 14th place. It will be Nando leading the lap for 14th. And Be Good also on the back of Grandpa, who does not have DRS and cannot get close enough. Lennon also gets Jack Miles, who has struggled since having that 5-second penalty. So the faster cars taking advantage over Jack. It's really being shown now. Got some support for Dragon Dude in the chat. That's nice to see. Glad to see people watching for him. Wavy, you're on the outside now, trying on Nando. He's going to try it here at Luffield. Can he find time and maybe find a line to get past? No. And looks like Grandpa may have got DRS right there. No, he didn't. Be Good's gonna get the place because of that. He takes advantage. Dragon Dude racks up a penalty. Hunted also gets Jack as Lennon gets Gecko. And TB and Zakaria, again, just playing DRS games right here. They surely must be thinking that this is going to catch them up to the field. Wavy also at Nando once again. This battle is never ending. Don't make contact, please. You guys have been great. No, I jinxed it. Nando's around. And more support for Dragon Dude in the chat. That helps him with his motivation, getting him a place. He did lag a lot. I did notice that. He lagged in tier 2 quite a bit, and he ended up having that cost him just a little. He might have lagged in that incident, I'm not sure. But the 6-car train now for the race lead. Look at this. Be Good and Grandpa caught themselves up. That's bad. For those of you who are not aware what Zatcy said, he was 2 seconds behind Nando in the tier 2 race, I believe. And yeah, you get to see the lag right there, so. Here we go for the race lead. Is he gonna make it on the inside? Luke into the race lead in his home race. How about that for Mercedes? He has the penalty though, so keep that in mind. He's gonna have to force his rival Miniko into a mistake here. Can we call Miniko the Nico Hulkenberg of RPL just yet? Only 1P4? Nah, you can't really call me. You can't really call him the Hulkenberg of RPL just yet, but at least 1P4 means he's looking for a podium tonight. And he's going to get it for now, but he's going for a win. As far as I'm aware, and Zatzy, you owned RPL at one point, a Canadian has never had podium in RPL. True or false? A Canadian driver has never had a podium in RPL. Miniko's Canadian. You're gonna have to repeat what you said, but maybe do it through Discord so I could hear you better, or speak up, because I couldn't really hear what you said with that. As Miniko took the lead. Was there ever a Canadian to get podium in RPL? Canadian driver. Get one. There wasn't an F1, I know that. Who? Who'd you say? Phantom Wizard. I'd have to see if he's on this list. I'd have to see. Let me see if he's on this list. Let me see what nationality he's listed as. I'll look for you. Phantom's listed as Swedish on this list. Yeah, so maybe there wasn't then. I don't think so. Moves being made right there again. That's TB and Zakaria and Valk, I believe. I may have just missed that. Yeah, for those of you who are just tuning in, by the way, Zatzy is through Xbox app, so obviously can't hear him. No surprise that the Xbox app failed us once again, but yeah, that is why I am transferring anything he says important in this to either my commentary or letting you all know as Gecko gets by Hunted. So that's the train right behind the 6-car battle for the 22. Kind of back at it with a 6-car battle. You know, that one wasn't for the lead, but this one is, which is different. But 2 of them have penalties. And now Be Good. How much balls do you have there to go side by side, or at least attempt it at Cop's corner? Williams 11-12 is good right now. Double as long as 50%, I assume. I'm just reading some of your chat messages, folks. But yeah, 11th to 13th now for Williams. Here we go. Grandpa, Be Good. Swap spots. For now, Be Good is going to try to hold it on the outside line, but can't do it. Grandpa gets another place, and this is the net podium with Owen and L74G's penalties. Keep this in mind. You do know the highest what? Yeah, because they ended up winning once, I believe. I have it on the stats sheet, I believe. So, I know someone won for them. I'd have to see who it was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they do have. No, they don't. I think they had just second place. Then never mind. I thought Alfa Romeo had one. Never mind. Unless it was tier 2. Because for tier 1, I'm looking at it. They have a second place finish, and I believe that was. Maybe it was with you. Yeah, it was with you at Monaco. Got a point there. Grandpa gets Owen. Nice move there. 4th place for him. Apologies for missing that. I was trying to look at the stat sheet while you were mentioning that, because I was like, it's either you or I was thinking someone else, and I can't remember. I can't connect the name right now. Here goes Owen back at it, charging up the inside. He wants that place back now. Side by side here. You don't want to cost yourself some time battling in the DRS train, but here we go. Inside line for Grandpa here. He backs out of it, though, and concedes the place. So now Owen holds on to 4th, but he does have the penalty at the expense of that. It's insane has switched to cross-platform what he's done. Owen has, because he was with Mercedes and they were doing practically nothing last season in tier 2. Now they've won the first 2 races. Now with Owen as well, he's obviously a 3-time tier 2 champion. He did one with Red Bull, but get realistic to Mercedes. You're right, it is crazy to think about. And all 11 of his tier 1 podiums have come with one team, the team that's leading this race in Ferrari, which you just mentioned. Zatcy, that's a great point. So Monaco leads this race. His best finish in RPL is 4th, and he's been in contention for a podium probably twice on pace, and now it's the 3rd time the charm here for him today. L74G is right there in the wings, just waiting patiently for the right opportunity. Grandpa as well is side by side with Owen. They continue to drool it out. Here we go. Once again, another ding-dong battle with these two into Stowe corner. Owen out ahead. Grandpa inside line for the next corner. Is Owen going to hang it around the outside? Side by side they remain. They touch for a moment. Be Good's looking in the background for an opportunity, but side by side now. Grandpa's vulnerable to Be Good. Be Good as well in the action. Gonna go for a move in turn 1 on both of them. Side by side. Barely any room given, but this is gonna cost them time to DRS if they don't figure out who's gonna be the one to be out in front for 4th place. Grandpa has the inside line, but Be Good has the traction on the outside, and now he's side by side with Owen, who now still somehow has DRS. Be Good not trailing much longer. Was Grandpa gonna split him? I don't think so, but Be Good takes 4th place, and now a little bit of banging between them leads to Be Good having to back out there. Yeah, you mentioned Grandpa maybe trying to go for a switchback, waiting for something. I don't think right there was the right opportunity, but Hamilton showed these guys what it's like. I mean, this battling is incredible, and I'm glad to see, for these guys' sake, what they can do. Here we go. Attempt number 2. Be Good around the outside. Gets the move done. And Owen has to wait a little longer there to maybe try to go back at it. Now Grandpa's going to go up the outside line. They do touch and rub wheels there as they enter the chicane. Do they interlock there? It came close, but Owen is out in front right there momentarily. Be Good now has the better tires to catch back up to the top 3. It's technically net P3 for him once again, but now for turn 3, the braking zone. Heavy braking, he clunks the curb, Grandpa does, and he goes spinning. Grandpa's recovery has now come undone. That is on him, you're right. He went into Owen. Owen gave him as much room as possible. Owen even went on the outside line to find some time there, and it cost him and Grandpa Aggressive did go around because Grandpa was being aggressive right there. He really did. It was the only way to really have a chance at net P3. He was trying to hold on, but Be Good, who had fresher tires. Owen, who's been faster this race at some points. Now Be Good will chase after Scyther for P3. You know, between Scyther and Luke, you have with these guys combined throughout F2, F1, Hunted with a penalty again. Hunted inside the points, but Grandpa gets Lennon back. I want to call him Luke because he's got Luke in his last name, it looks like. Luke, I don't know. Luke Key, yeah. Yeah, that's probably the way to say it. We'll see what happens here. I do wonder as well, is Luke going to appeal that penalty he got there? And I believe it's a 3-second. It is. I wonder if he's going to appeal it, because if he's looking to appeal it, he's either just waiting for the right time to overtake Minico for this race lead. Man. Well, let's see what happens here. We got 11 laps in this race left. There's 11 of you watching, and I see a lot of you in favor of Dragon Dude in this chat. He's ahead of his teammate. He's behind Wavy, and he's got a chance maybe to get maybe one or two more places if something catastrophic happens. It's been a nice clean race. Only one safety car, 3 DNFs. I think there was some others with 100% race being implemented for the second or third ever time in RPL. Maybe fourth because of bow range short we ran previously. I'm not 100% on the amount of 100% races we've had, but with this being in the single digits for the amount we've done, a lot of people thought there were going to be more DNFs because people would give up. But the 3 DNFs come from really early in this race, in a way. Zatcy, you were the first one. Alex Bear was the next one, and Alex Griffiths was the one right after that, but he was behind Alex Bear on the circuit when he DNF'd, and that was all before halfway. And now we're in the closing stages of this race where we'll find out who's going to be the podium, who's going to be up there, who's going to be the winners or losers of this race, who's going to be driver of the day, too. We have You think Be Good's gonna win? I'm liking your prediction there, but do those medium tires live up here to what it is? The Chiller, you made a good point in the chat about the tires being double. I would agree that that's the case. It's the only thing I can assume because of what I've seen prior. So if that is the case, then 30 laps at the earliest is probably the worry point for when he could get a puncture. And if that is the case, he's timed it perfect on when he decided to go to those tires, and he would have been out in front of Scyther when he originally pitted, but he gone to get fresher tires, and so far, I would say it's paid off because he's the last car in this DRS train. But if he wants to win this race, Zatcy, he's gonna have to make some moves, and he's gonna have to make them quickly. Gecko was a contender for driver of the day from what was said in chat. Now, he's under pressure from Hunted in the McLaren. If only Be Good can just make a move past. If only he could, that could be the outcome of this race. I'm interested to see what could happen. Gecko and Hunted, here we go. This battle, again, for P8 is not just over yet. Gecko got out ahead. Now Hunted is going to be charging up the inside line. Unless Gecko shows him the other line. Oh! A little bit of contact there, and a little bit of more contact. You saw a little bit of lag and desync, but Gecko pulling out in front will keep the place, but that was a little controversial, it must be said. If Minico can pull this off, unless F2 or Tier 2 have said otherwise, we've never had a Canadian winner or a podium sitter. We've never had one in F1, and Minico is going to get maybe a race win in RPL F1 before he gets a race win in or RPL FE before he gets one in F1 RPL, the main tier. Scyther can too, but how much is left of those soft tires? Because those soft tires are wearing out by now, and they're toward their puncture territory. And if he has timed this just perfect, if he's got to hope for this car to be one that ends up on the tire life much better than the others. And if that is the case, he can realistically do what's needed. You got a point. The softs don't wear a whole lot in the Alpine. So, if some way Scyther has done everything he can to hold on and maybe go for a late charge, then that'd be great. But does he have the tire length? That's what I'm wondering, because if he's much more worn on those tires, as you saw Dragon do to Nando trading spots, if he's much more worn on those tires, he's not going to be able to pull anything unless he's just saving the battery compared to these two. And he is better on battery than Minico by a lot, but not enough significantly compared to Luke in P2. And be good. 38% on the battery. You said he's going to win, Zatcy, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for something to happen. Here we go. I think L74G had a peek and wanted to sneak past Minico right there, but couldn't do it. Scyther is there, was waiting in the wings, and almost contact, but Luke remains out in P2. He was keeping it penalty free, and he was going to be maybe P8 or P7 at the end of this, but for whoever said driver of the day, Gecko in chat, I think I'm going to question that a little more with the penalty. I really am. He's put in a good race, though. You said what? I don't know. I mean, let's see. Luke charging, and he was gaining, but he couldn't make the move there. Into Sector 2. He's just making all the time he can and all the battery he can. You saw right there, using a bit of it to find the right place to make this move. It's not over yet, clearly. Especially if he appeals that 3-second. Which I would like to know. Actually, I could hop in the Discord call and I could ask him, because he's in a Discord call in the Discord right now. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to do that. Luke, quick question. Are you appealing the 3-second? Are you appealing the 3-second? Yeah, Luke. L74G. Luke. Okay. Well, I asked him while he was in a battle, and that's probably not the best part, but it still remains as is, luckily, so I didn't miss too much with that. That was probably a bad time for him. Luke, if you're watching the stream afterwards, I apologize. Luckily, he was in the Discord call where I could just yell at him and ask him. Here he goes! He's having a look! Oh, he jumps over the curb, but now Scyther takes advantage for P2. Here we go. That may have distracted him. Side by side, they touch for just a moment. But the wheel-to-wheel action continues with Scyther getting out in front, using the battery now to keep in front of Luke. Can he keep in front as they enter Sector 2? Yes. Oh, I am so sorry to Luke. I may have distracted him right there. I really may have. I'm so sorry. I joined the Discord call. I'm like, is he appealing to 3-second? It's good to know. He's not, by the way, to give you guys the answer. But I'm so sorry. I will never do that again to him. Or anyone like that. I was curious, though. I mean, you know what? I don't know where he got it, though, you know? So it's like, for him, this does have an outcome in the way this race turns out. It's good to find out from the drivers. Because usually in real life, you get a notification from the radio. Okay, he's appealing that. Okay, or he's, going to try to fight it. Or finds it unfair. But Luke does not find it unfair. Haunted's out of this race. Haunted's had something happen. He's heading off. And now it's a late race safety car. And Scyther and Minico pit lane collision. Zatcy, what happened there? You just saw that. China, 2016. Scyther tried doing that, I'm assuming. And it resulted in a collision, I think. What you just said. Minico's not too happy with that either. Yeah, he will get it removed. I don't think he has it anymore, the 5-second, because maybe it served it for him. I don't really think it's too much of a shame, because he would have came out either second or third, but now this is perfect. He's in prime position to do so on an Alpine now. You know what's interesting? I just mentioned recently to Titan, and you might have been watching yesterday for Tier 1, but do you know what team won the first ever RPL race of 2023? Yes, it was. Ads. It's interesting. Yeah, it was Bahraini won it. Ads won an Alpine. So, maybe it's the case now. The only car to stay out was Leighton's Ghost car, and it was on the mediums, and yeah, we have a perfect late race safety car now for everything to just kick off. All of you are here for the first ever Formula Endurance race. We had 15 tune in at one point. We've had an average of probably 9 or 10 viewers. So, good to have you all here and ready for it all to end off. And we are seeing a bit of cloud cover, but we're not going to see rain. I doubt it. If you do all plan to tune in next week, we're in Canada for Tier 2 on Friday. We are in Australia for F1 Tier 1. And we're at Netherlands for the same tier next week. And I know there's a ton of you new people watching. And I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad to see you all interested in the action. Maybe it's for Dragon Dude, who you guys seem to be fans of in the chat. And supporters of. Maybe it's for RPL's sake. You like watching the league. You like watching league racing. Whatever it may be. I'm glad to have you all here. And I'm glad to have you be alongside Zatcy, because I wouldn't have known what exactly all happened. I assumed what happened there with the pit lane thing, but I'm glad I didn't make an ass out of myself for assuming. You know the saying, the word ass is in assuming, and you know, I would make an ass out of myself for assuming. I'm glad I didn't do that. So, yeah, thank you though for helping me out on that. With that said, RPL has YouTube, a Twitch, a Twitter/X, an Instagram. RPL Formula 1, no spaces. It's the same name as the Twitch. Tune in for those. The Instagram, the Twitter, all sorts of things. Even the YouTube, we post weekly on there. And for those of you who are watching who are unaware, I've made this clear in the Discord multiple times, and I will do so again because the 2-week break we have coming up for F1 Tier 2, and even, I'll call it Formula E Formula Endurance. We'll have old Season 5 races posted on the YouTube that were never posted prior. And you'll get to see what RPL was like 5 seasons ago. Almost 2 years ago, really. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it was. So yeah, that'll be nice. A nice Christmas present. Thank you for updating me on the Rams and Ravens game. I needed that update. I have it on my computer right now, but I am not paying a whole lot of attention. Scores 22-20. That's what I'll be watching after this, so I appreciate you updating me that in the chat there, Landon. I really do. I think the safety car will be in this time. Dragon Dude catches up to the back of the pack. Zatzy, we're in for a thriller. We've got, let's see, 3-4 laps to finish off this race. Yes, it is in. Grandpa could be on for a podium, but you know, it's nothing notable. Scyther's really backing them up. Yeah. We'll find out what happens. Red Bull is going to be a sitting duck at the back. That is because Leighton is not in a session. Either way, Scyther is on the gas. And here we go. A little sprint to the finish. Scyther leads the way for Alpine. Can he hold on? He's won before, 2 F2 titles, 2 F1 titles, and a total of 50 wins with F1 and F2. He's trying to make it a first win in the first ever race of RPL Formula E. Owen, down the inside of Gecko, gets the move complete, is ahead. Now, further behind that, you saw Nando and Leighton. Leighton obviously not in the session, same with Dragon Dude, who gets past him, making the move. So, they get by him, and you don't have to worry about any illegal overtakes due to yellow flags because of that now. So, they have figured that out. Now, the fake TB picks up a penalty. We've got 7 drivers of the 16 remaining with a penalty. But now, it's crunch time. You got to find your time. You got to find the way. You can get up on the grid and find a chance past L74G if you want to get the race lead, because that's the guy standing in between Scyther and the race win. And realistically, you could say at that rate that once you get by Luke, it's now a battle for the race lead. And Luke with that penalty is going to be in the way. Now, Minico looking up the inside of Be Good. Here we go. Inside line. They touch. Minico, who's led most this race, is around. And heartbreak for him. He was looking to be the first Canadian winner in RPL, but now he's mad. And it's all going done for him. Oh, no. Not happy there. Be Good, I think, gave some space, but not a whole lot. Gecko is spun around at the back as well. So, Ferrari Academy with double heartbreak. Gecko was going to look at some points. And now here comes Be Good looking up the outside of Luke. Around the outside. Here we go. Switchback time. He's going to try to find a way to catch out Luke, but can't do it. TB has a train forming 7th on back now, but Be Good now runs net P2 and Grandpa net P3 on that. Len, who we've not spoke about a lot, had trouble at the start of this whole thing. He's coming back up for a good finish, but now, Be Good. He's got to get by L74G before the penultimate lap. He's got Grandpa trailing, he's got Grandpa chasing, but can't get by. And now, here Grandpa and Lennon duke it out. A little bit of touching, a little bit of rubbing, but Grandpa keeps the place. Now, Be Good throws it up the inside. It's now or never. He comes to collision with Luke, but Luke keeps it going. That was a double whammy right there. Made contact with Minico. Now made contact with Luke. That will probably be looked at by the stewards. Now Grandpa wants his opportunity. What an opportunistic move he makes to get up into 3rd place. How about that? Now, it's an Alpine Academy 1-2, and we fight it out for the race win with Be Good and Scyther. We have Gecko and Nando trading paint here at the back of the grid. Let's find out who gets out in front here. Right now, it looks like Gecko. Cop's corner. It's not a corner you want to go side by side in, but they're going to do it. Gecko in front. Be Good has shown a lot of pace from the Friday he joined this league. He joined in Tier 2. Now, Zakaria and Wavy down the order. There's been a collision there. But now for the race lead. Does Be Good send it? No. Lennon gets Luke. And now, Wavy and Zakaria fully outside the points in their collision. Little slide there from Be Good, I think, but the final lap is underway. He's got one more opportunity, and Scyther trying to break the slipstream now. Yellow flags. That's for Wavy once again. He's got a couple more chances to get by Scyther, but the first one is going to come at the straight here. And now, if they're on 2 warnings, don't pull it for a 3rd. Leighton disqualified. Yellow flags still continue. But anyway, now Wavy and Zakaria go back at it for last place, where both had previously collided. Hopefully they don't collide this time. There's any more DNFs than we already have. We've got 5 of them. 1 disqualification. Side by side there. But does Scyther remain in the lead here? What can he do to hold on this final lap? Be Good is charging. He's got DRS. And now Scyther has some pressure into the final couple of corners. Be Good takes the race lead on the outside line. In controversial fashion, he's got a couple corners remaining. He joined the league on Friday. He got into collision with 2 different drivers so far this race. It's going to be reviewed by the stewards, but provisionally wins in the first weekend. He joins RPL. Be Good wins the first ever Formula Endurance race. He ran that marathon to perfection. More cars come across the line. We have Valk on the points, Luke as well, Owen, Jack, Grandpa on the podium, Scyther as well. And now the final runners come across the line. Zakaria. He says. I agree. Scyther had the collision with Miniko in the pit lane, which was controversial. Scyther had something happen at the start as well, where he had a collision early on, I remember. And now, you mentioned, or well, we mentioned the 2 collisions with Be Good. So yeah, I reasonably understand that. Driver of the day, who are we thinking? Who are we thinking? You think Scyther? What happened to Miniko? So, Miniko ended up having issues in the pit lane where Scyther tried overtaking and they collided, getting a 5-second, put him back and forth when Miniko was leading. And because of that, Miniko was put further back and there was contact with him and Be Good and to Stowe corner, and I mean, history is made from there. We know what happened. Grandpa went through a lot that race. He's still good at podium. Yeah, I agree. I'll put it this way, and I mean this in the most respectful manner for Alpine Academy. The top 3 really were not the cleanest. Or top 2, I should say, I meant. Grandpa had his fair share of what happened. We know that he ended up getting a drive-through. But he charged back for 3rd place. And I really don't think it's easy to beat Scyther, no matter what car he's in. And I don't think Be Good's another one where it's easy to beat him as well from what we've seen so far. But for Grandpa to charge back at P3 and potentially go for a race win from pole position and have that trouble and charge back to the field, I would say I'll give either Grandpa or TB my driver of the day. You don't think Grandpa? I think it's either Grandpa or TB. Maybe Scyther. Maybe Scyther, but I don't think he kept the cleanest. I don't think he's keeping that, regardless of the Miniko collision. I think there was one earlier. Maybe it was with Lennon. I'm trying to remember because a lot's happened since then, where Scyther made a mistake at the chicane and it spun someone around. I don't know. Maybe TB. TB went from 20th to 8th and made 4 pit stops. It's not like he sat here and did a 2 or 3 stop like the rest of these guys did. So, I don't know. I can understand Miniko's frustration. I see it in the chat, and I don't blame him. But I think it's a little bit of an overreaction because I think he would probably still race here next week in this tier. We'll find out what happens. Yeah, I guess I'll give driver of the day to Scyther for what he did in Alpine. I guess. I don't know. Maybe Be Good. I don't know. I'm not sure who I want to give driver of the day to, but it's definitely between 4 names I've mentioned, so maybe it would have been Gecko's, I guess, if it weren't for what really happened. There's 4 guys it's really between. It's And Grandpa seems discrediting with what happened, obviously, because of the drive-through. It's really hard to give it to him when you make your own mistake and you realistically come back to where you should be. Not everyone can come back, to be fair, and him and all credit. But yeah. Well, Zatzy, you were the first to DNF, so, you know, to finish first, you must first finish. Yeah, first one to DNF in this tier, yeah. You gotta make a point. Do make a point. Well, I'll make some points next week when we end up here once again in this commentary box. It's next week we go to Zandvoort to continue the season, and we race at Canada for Tier 2. We race at Australia for F1. Those will cap off our final events in RPL for 2023. For those of you who would tune in, as always, make sure you stay safe, stay tuned in, and we'll see you the next time you choose to tune in here in RPL, whether that be next week for any of the 3 races or beyond that time. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and we will see you for more RPL action, whenever that may be. Good night, folks.